So, I have just watched Series 1, Episode 6, titled Decommissioned of Star Wars: The Bad Batch, and it's time to review it. So, join me, Lucamus Prime, and my best friend, Oppo Ranscisis, as we review the episode. So, cue the intro. Alright, so as always in my reviews, I'm going to let Oppo Ranscisis, aka Alexander, share his thoughts on today's episode. So I'll let him talk about it. And guys, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to his channel to give him some love support. So because he deserves it. He does tons of great content which you will not regret watching. So and I'll put the link to his channel in the description below, as always in his reviews. So anyway, take it away, Oppo.
Hello there. This is Oppo Ranscisis, and thank you for inviting me on once again, Lucamus. And this was an absolutely fantastic episode of The Bad Batch, in my humble opinion, which is surprising because I usually don't like stuff that's set in such a dark area like a factory or some kind of workplace. I really did not enjoy, the Sullust sequence in the Battlefront 2 campaign with Lando and Shriv. So I thought I wouldn't enjoy this one because it's set in that kind of setting, but I really did. Actually, that's not completely true because I love the factory scene in Attack of the Clones, which there are a couple of references to in this episode as well. But overall, very unexpected to me how much I actually enjoyed this one. So let's go around in a random order. First of all, very unexpected that the Martez sisters came back, Rafa and Trace, and I did not realize that it was them until there was like Rafa, and then I was like, hold on a minute, wait, that's Rafa from the Clone Wars arc. And it was very nice to see them here because I was always so curious after that arc finished, which, by the way, so many people hate that arc. That's my favorite arc in that particular season. Yes, I prefer it over the Mandalore arc. And I really loved the arc, actually, and so I was always curious what happens to them now, because that question was never answered. We didn't see Ahsoka return to them in the end, or so on, and so I was always like, so what now? Where do we go from here? And here it's been answered that they are now working there in that factory, from what I understood. Actually, no, they weren't working there. I think I thought they were working there at first, but no, they were also on a mission to sneak into there, so they were kind of scavengers as well. But seeing them back is very interesting, and I didn't like them as characters at first, but I grew to love them more. And I was actually quite glad that in the Clone Wars they replaced Nix Okami from the original storyboards, because Nix, from what I saw of him, was not the most interesting character for me. I think it's good that they replaced him. I like the Martez sisters actually quite a lot. And speaking of which, in the end, that hologram, that's Ahsoka. And I have no doubts of that. And I think people will be like, is that Ahsoka? But I can say for sure now, it's Ahsoka. There's no doubt about it. Because you know how last time I predicted Bib Fortuna? I can predict these people. They may be smart, these creators, but they can't outrun or outsmart me. Because I know that based on it makes all the sense in the world, because they were with Ahsoka throughout the entire arc. So it's obvious that they would collaborate in the future. And the cloak, everything, it's just where the story goes from any narrative standpoint. That's the natural progression of the story. I have no doubt of that. Now, next, I do want to say that the humor in this one actually worked quite a lot. And my favorite part is where Rafa, I think it was, it repeats Trace's thing, and Trace is like, is there an Echo in here? And I did not find that funny. But then Echo is like, yes, I am Echo. And he says it, and I think D. Bradley Baker's delivery was what made it for me, because it's not said like to where the joke is like in some stuff where it'd be like, yes, I am Echo, but it's like, yes, I'm Echo. And it just, that thing, that kind of, that made it funny for me. The humor landed in this one a lot for me personally. But And another joke, Sid was very funny in this one, especially when she grabbed Amiga and whoa, 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 when Amiga was aiming at first. That was hilarious. And also when she sent them on for the job without even asking them. Sid is one of my favorite characters in this show. There is no question about that, trust me. And now the other thing, what else do I talk about? Yeah, the setting for the factory was wonderful, and I heard many returning sound effects. And as a lover of sound effects, it's such a pleasure to hear sounds coming back. We heard the Geonosian factory. Once again, we heard the sounds of that, you know. I can't imitate it. The carbonite freezing, I could definitely hear a faint added addition of that, which didn't make much sense, but it was definitely there. For the droids walking, that sounded a lot like, you know, the droids from the premiere of Season 5 of the Clone Wars, you know, or the police droids, just those mechanical parts moving around, which, by the way, if you want those sound effects, you can find them on the channel. They're not available anywhere else. I extracted them myself, and they are available on this channel in my rare sound effects video. Wait. On this channel, I'm on Lucas's channel, for God's sake. Okay, they're on my channel, Now what else do I have to say? Yeah, but the droids, I really loved the modulation, the voices they had, and it didn't make much sense for them to swear in the Huttese language. I didn't think it would make much sense, but I guess it worked. And it was nice to return to Corellia once again. So is that pretty? I think that's pretty much it. So, oh, and Wrecker's his chip seems to be turning him evil. I don't know where they'll go with that. I think they'll have a tragic moment somewhere towards the end. But I don't like the slow. I don't know, maybe I do like it. We'll have to see how they write that into the story. But thank you for inviting me onto the channel, Lucas, and apologies for thinking it was my channel for a second. I guess I was so invested in the review I forgot where I was. Stupid me. But thank you. See you all.
Alright, it's up to me now to review it, so yeah, great review, Oppo. So yeah, so this episode called Decommissioned, what's it about? So yeah, to summarise the episode, it begins back on Old Mantell City, in Sid's bar, where we get to see Omega learning how to use a crossbow, which I believe is Zygerian, so which is pretty cool. And we see her training, and she misses several times though, because this is her first time using a crossbow, which is understandable, I think. And then after we see her training with Wrecker helping her, which, again, seeing Wrecker helping Omega use the crossbow made me love his character more, and it's now one of the gazillion reasons why he's my favourite Bad Batch member. Now, after we see her trying to use the crossbow, Sid comes up to the Bad Batch and tells them that they need to talk. And so yeah, and once again, Rhea Perlman returned to voice Sid, and yeah, love Rhea Perlman as Sid. It's my favourite Rhea Perlman role, Sid, most definitely. So Sid asks them if they're familiar with a separatist tactical droid. And Tech, you know, says that they were the operational brains of the separatists. So yeah, because Tech is really intelligent, so I think he knows, doesn't he? And because tactical droid intelligence has great value, she orders them to infiltrate a decommissioning facility, hence why the episode's called Decommissioned, to retrieve a tactical droid before they all get, you know, melted down and destroyed. And this place they're going to is Corellia. So yeah, this is the same place where Han Solo's from, which is pretty cool. So they go to Corellia on the Marauder, and on the way there they hitch a ride using a Class 4 container transport, you know, to hide, because they're of course on the run. They don't want to be spotted, because the planet has sensors which could detect them, because they are fugitives in the galaxy, being hunted by the Galactic Empire. Omega's also pretty curious to know why this droid is more important than the other droids. Like, why this one when they could have got maybe a battle droid or a super battle droid? But Echo tells her that the more tactical droids fought, the more they learned and won. So as they enter the site, they look around it, and they've got to also avoid the police droids, because just like how Coruscant has police droids, so does Corellia. These ones are different because these ones are yellow. And also, what I also noticed was they spoke in Huttese, which I could tell because one of them said the word Ichuda, which, for those you don't know, is the same word that the Silver Protocol droid said to C-3PO in The Empire Strikes Back when he says, "Ooh, nice to see a familiar face," and then he goes Ichuda, and then I can guess by 3PO's response where he goes, "How rude!" that it was a very offensive term in Huttese. Now, I have no idea what it means. They've never translated it, but I think it's implied to be maybe a swear word in Huttese. I have no idea, but yeah. It was very interesting as to how they spoke Huttese though. So yeah, so as they avoid the droids, they see that the droids which are being decommissioned are being melted in a large smelter, and then Omega spots a tactical droid among the pile of several decommissioned battle droids. And the only problem is its head's been severed off, but they can luckily put it back together, hopefully. But the problem is, as they are trying to get to the droid, someone grabs the head, and Omega has to chase them. And I'm wearing a helmet, so I don't know who it is, but then Omega aims her crossbow at this person, but this person doesn't want to hurt her and reveals it's none other than Rafa Martez. So she and Trace Martez are both in this episode, and those you don't know, they're characters introduced in Series 7 who are scavengers, surviving in the underworld of Corellia, which is pretty cool. And of course, Ahsoka Tano met them, which is pretty cool. And, after that, now Trace runs into other Bad Batch members, and they hold her at gunpoint. And, now, Omega, is of course not very well good at using a crossbow, and Rafa notices this and tries to sweet talk her, but then she grabs the crossbow very quickly. And then Omega accidentally fires her bolts in the scuffle, and it hits a vent which causes some gas to come out. And then, in the ensuing struggle, she loses the crossbow. Now, unfortunately, amidst the chaos, a worker who is working in this place notices the clones firing, and it activates an alarm which causes the police droids to come in. So yeah, and then we get an insanely big, gunfight. It was very well visualised, and the music by Kevin Kiner was also brilliant too. Like, it was a brilliant fight scene, very enjoyable to watch. And tons of police droids came in, which was pretty worrying because there was lots of them, yeah. They were all outnumbering the Bad Batch and Rafa and Trace. Now, meanwhile, Wrecker is taking down some droids, but after that, however, he takes a leap and he bangs his head after he, let go of a grabber. And then he gets knocked out. Now, one thing that I noticed that made me worried was he began to mutter the same catchphrase Crosshair said, which is, good soldiers follow orders, but before he could finish off a sentence, he passed out. And then he began to have some weird dreams in his head, about Crosshair saying that line. But luckily, when he recovers, he appears to be back to normal, and he joins in the fight, taking down more police droids. So after this, now one thing I will say about this episode, which I did love, was probably the humour, because there was quite a lot of funny moments in this episode, definitely, such as Wrecker, because he's really funny, like the comic relief of the group, he's really funny. But one part that made me laugh my head off was probably, okay, when Trace and Rafa are, taking cover behind some droids opening fire, they both say, they're going to cause a diversion, I think they said, yeah. And then the other one, who said it first, then goes, "Is there an Echo in here?" But then Echo, the Bad Batch member, comes up and says, "Yes, I'm Echo." That made me laugh my head off. That was so funny. And also, during the struggle, when they're trying to get the tactical droid's head, Omega accidentally falls off a conveyor belt, and she gets really close to falling into the smelter. But luckily, Trace and Hunter pull her up and save her from the smelter. I mean, thank God, because I'm starting to like Omega. I really like her development. It's really good. So as they're taking cover from the police droids, Rafa tells Hunter that the tactical droid they're after belongs to them, and Hunter says they can debate later, but they have to work together to escape the smelters, and Rafa reluctantly agrees. So with help from Tech, they are able to rebuild the tactical droid, which was and they're able to convince it, they're able to control it to activate the decommissioned battle droids and super battle droids to fight for them. So it takes some time because the signal is very weak to transmit, but luckily Tech's able to boost the signal using a data rod and a power bank. And after that, when the droid gets online, they're able to control it to activate the battle droids and the super battle droids, and we then get an epic fight between the battle droids and the police droids. It was pretty good, actually. I mean, I never imagined the battle droids to be helping clones. Like, wow. Ironic, isn't it? And as they're escaping, Trace drops the tactical droid's head and accidentally destroys it. Omega then is able to use her crossbow, which she finds, to take down more droids. And then luckily, the clones and Martez's sisters then escape on their ship called the Silver Angel, which is piloted by an aspect droid called R7. And Omega then says that because they lost the droid's head, that Sid isn't going to be happy, her buyer. Now, Trace tells the clones then that their contact, who they're trying to get the tactical droid to, is part of a rebel movement fighting against the Empire to help people and make things better. So, this made me really curious to know, who it was that their contact is. Now, the Martyr sisters then drop the Bad Batch on Omega near the Havoc Marauder. Omega invites them to come to Ord Mantell, but Trace points out that the part of Ord Mantell is seedy. But then, after Omega leaves them, after Rafa encourages her practice with a crossbow, Hunter then passes Rafa a data rod containing the intelligence from a tactical droid before it was destroyed. So luckily they do have its data, which is good. And Hunter says he's giving it to him because he's doing it for the right reason. And Rafa also points out that the clones are different, yeah, which is the case because the Bad Batch are very, very different to the normal clones. And then they part ways, the Bad Batch and the sisters. Now, on the Silver Angel, R7 establishes a hologram communication, and we see a hologram figure. Now, I have no idea who it was, but it looked like a Jedi because a lot of them were wearing robes. And I've got a feeling that it might be Ahsoka Tano. I've got a good feeling it might be her, considering that she, of course, met these two characters in Series 7. So Rafa tells this unidentified person that they managed to obtain the intelligence from the droid on Corelli with the help of the rogue clones, and that she knows where to find them, but the unidentified person who we don't know might want to know. So yeah, and that's when the episode ends. So yeah, I was so curious to know who it was, but yeah, all in all, I'm very excited for the next episode, yeah. So yeah, this was another fantastic episode, and this is definitely climbing up to be one of my favourite Star Wars shows of all time so far, most definitely. I'm really loving this series. So yeah, we've got 10 episodes left, and I'm very excited for episode 7 next week, yeah. So guys, this was me and Oppo Ranscisis reviewing Star Wars: Bad Batch Season 1 Episode 6 titled Decommissioned. So you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave comments what you guys thought of today's episode of Bad Batch. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe for more videos in the future. And also, please subscribe to our channel, like I said at the start of the video. And may the Force be with you always.